Hi, this is Curt and welcome to another edition of Fire Law Roundup.
Got some really interesting ones. My favorite's going to come up, I think, is the third one, but we'll get to it. So let's start with a quick one, a little head scratcher. We have, after 13 years of litigation, we have a firefighter who was severely injured in 2006 has now settled with his employer. I don't totally understand it, other than he was burned trying
It was Cindy. It was a female.
Oh, female. I'm sorry. She was severely burned while trying to rescue a person. This occurred in 2006. She sued for $1 million. She finally reached the settlement agreement. And what had happened was she was injured when a floor collapsed when she was attempting to rescue an elderly man. Horrific surgeries, and it obviously ended her career. So she sued, alleging the district was negligent and failed to train them properly, leading to her injuries. She, I guess, attempted or was asked to return to work in 2013. I'm not sure, but she did not return to work back in 2013. So the district, her employer, terminated her. And so then she had a second suit alleging now wrongful termination. And she based that on the collective bargaining agreement, which said that firefighters have to stay on the payroll until they're able to return to duty. But she wasn't able to return to duty. In any event, this has been going through the court system for a while, and various degrees of success. In any event, here they have now settled it, ending everything, I presume, where she'll get $1 million. I wasn't sure. Look, settlement's not for anything specific, right? You don't attribute a dollar to a dollar, but I was kind of curious, in the employer's mind, in her mind, right? Is this more for the wrongful termination because you should have kept paying me, or is this for my injuries? Because injuries normally against an employer, all you get is workers' compensation in some form, no matter how bad they are. And here they're apparently horrific, right? But it sounds like this really addresses the wrongful termination, because pain and suffering of burns would generate way more than $1 million. So I'm not sure. It seems like this is more, okay, we agree we wrongfully terminated, or we don't agree, but we're going to pay you on the wrongful termination. And she must have had some thought, again, if that she wasn't going to be successful on the pain and suffering and all that would have come from the negligence and failure to train.
Yeah, we had a similar problem here in Rhode Island, and it was based on state law. But firefighters in Rhode Island are outside of workers' comp, so we have a separate law, and we're specifically exempted from workers' comp. So the benefit to the city is the city doesn't have to pay the comp insurance, and they don't have to deal with that bureaucracy. The downside is now the fire department or the municipality and HR has to get involved in managing the comp. And how long is somebody going to be off for? Who's going to pay the medical bills? Are those medical bills actually for the job-related injury? Are they for something that happened off the job? And, should the member come back and all that stuff? But the way the law was written is that a firefighter who is injured, the city has to pay their medical bills. So that's sort of number one with comp, the same thing. They got to pay the medical bills. But then they also have to continue their salary or their wages at 100% of what it had been at the time of the injury. So it's not 66 2/3 like it is for, but there was nothing, right? There was nothing in the state law that covered someone who was not going to be able to come off of the injury status and return to work. And so we had people that were sort of in limbo like her for years, decades, because they didn't want to retire, and they basically, it was clearly a work-related injury. So finally, the legislature had to step in and address it. So, I think what you have here, it sounds like it was in the collective bargaining agreement that they can remain on the payroll until they're able to return. But what happens when they can't? And now they're going to go for a pension. And, depending on the pension, maybe the pension isn't, maybe it's 50%, or maybe it's 66%. And the contract says she's entitled to 100%. So I don't know, a lot of different things, particularly where those surgeries go beyond the point where she should be on the pension, there's still the issue of who's going to pay for it and all that. So, I guess the bottom line is it's a good thing that it was settled, because otherwise these issues can just drag on, and the taxpayers are footing the bill. And certainly, we don't want to minimize the pain and suffering that she's been through and everything.
And she was in hard financial straits, according to this. So apparently, she might have been pushed financially into having to do this. Who knows?
Well, you're upset about, from the fire chief's perspective, you're upset about this person not just either taking a pension or whatever. And that's another thing. It wasn't clear. Maybe she wasn't eligible for a pension. Maybe they didn't have some sort of mechanism. But be that as it may, from the front office, you're a little bit upset with this person and you're frustrated, and your budgets have, a lot of your budget now is going toward this. And so now a bill comes in, and so, you know what, that doesn't look like it's really for this injury, so we're not going to pay it. And now you get into all those kind of squabbles too, which is unfortunate. They shouldn't be happening. I'm not rationalizing it, but I've seen it where, the front office or HR or whomever declines these types of things, and then it falls on the person who's least able to pay for it, the individual.
Right.
So,
right.